Welcome one, welcome all to episode 190 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, August 12th, 2023. I am your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logun. And in this episode, we discuss the recent TMNT announcements as crossovers and a game based on The Last Ronin have been announced. Killer Instinct and Avowed both got quite interesting updates these past few days, and Quake 2 got a remaster that was stealth dropped onto Game Pass. As always, we hope you enjoy the show. Almost had it there, Logan. We like to start the show by offering words of kindness to those who have made our gaming week better. But first, Logan, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. It's been another week. I survived you being gone.
Yep.
And I had to figure out how to render an episode that had more than just like B-roll and a couple other things.
Yeah.
And boy, that file was a hunkin' doozy. So y'all better go watch that last episode, because man, that was like 5 hours of rendering. Definitely made me realize like I need to get a new computer, because this poor baby is like, no, daddy, don't do it. And I'm like, render the video. And he's like, no, daddy, don't make me do it. And I'm like, render the video.
He sent me like a 45 gig video, guys, which took forever to download and then re-upload.
Yeah.
It was something. I don't think I ever ended up getting it to audio. I'm not sure. It gave me fits here and there. So if you missed it on audio,
I can get that.
No, that's fine. It's fine.
No, the people deserve it.
No, a lot of people. No, I think I did get it to audio. We'll check. Whatever. But I am grateful to you for captaining the ship, which is a pun that I came up with and nobody else.
Yeah, first time I've ever heard it.
That's right. You did a great job, man. I really enjoyed the episode. Hearing you and CJ was a blast. It was neat to see XEP without me in a cool way. It was a lot of cool pride there. Producing the show is something. That's why I needed the Patreon back when we started the show, because I had to get that computer, which Ains helped me out with. But my poor laptop was melting trying to do video. And it was something, man. It was something. So, but I am grateful to you for captaining this ship, buddy. It was really cool to listen to you guys, and of course I love CJ, so that was fun.
Yeah, he was one of the folks that's like, I don't get to talk to him as much, since he doesn't do Sea of Thieves as nearly as much as he used to. So because of that, we don't really get to like have those nice long chats in Sea of Thieves like we used to.
Yeah,
but it's always fun to kind of grab him and be like, hey, I need a co-host, come chat with me.
Yeah, he's such a cool dude. Dude. I love he and the Player One guys. They're just fun, cool people, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Nice. How was your week, though?
It was all right.
Yeah.
I can't complain. I'm going back to work next week, which is good and bad, because I'm ready for the downtime to kind of stop, because I had this weird, it's just too much downtime, right? But I've been helping coach the high school team over summer, so I've gotten some good exercise and good work. But going back to work now as summer break ends will mean that I'm on 12-hour days, because we're coaching in the evenings. So I'm not quite looking forward to that part of it, because it's 2.5 months of just nonstop 12-hour days.
I have some advice if you want to get back some of that time.
Yeah, what's that?
That little tutorial video that was part of the PE class in Captain America, I believe it was Winter Soldier, when Cap walks up and turns the stool or the chair around and sits down. Yeah, just use that.
That.
That's how you coach kids.
There you go. Well, you know what? Now that you said it, it makes it sound so simple, right?
Come home soon, and we'll get the game still, and kids they'll figure it out either way. You know, it's like there's always going to be some baller player on a team, and if not, then they lose until they turn into the Mighty Ducks and have to form a flying V down the basketball court, and that's its own montage right there. So, you know, I mean,
guys, Logan did not play sports ball growing up.
Yeah, I did. I was really good. I was a star athlete.
All right, guys. Well, let's do our words of kindness. Logan, I want to shout out two people who, quite independently of each other, each sent in wonderful notes that I think really were uplifting to both you and I. Rick Gaffney and Rick Davis both sent again, quite separately, their own emails and contacts, just appreciating the community and noting how wonderful the XEP Discord has been, and just in general saying very kind things about us and the show. And as a content creator, to read that meant a lot. Like, both of those notes were really uplifting, because I've been leaning on the XEP community a lot too. When things get tough, it's nice to have a happy, positive place. And both of them noted that. So Rick Gaffney and Rick Davis are my two words of kindness this week, because they just really helped me get through, whether they realize it or not. So that was really neat. I just appreciated both of them.
Yeah, they you sent me the messages, and it was heartwarming, because as someone who's had who started up their community right around the same time that I started up the Keelhauled podcast, like, people finding the content and like just being really, really finding some friendships and stuff like that. It was part of the reason why I went to the SOT fests that I did this year, because getting to meet my friends in person and have them be just like, we all just kind of sitting there like gushing over each other's like happiness for having a community. It's hard to find, especially given like social media. It's hard to find little pockets of people who are just chill and can have good conversation. So seeing those, I was like, oh, it's cool to see when folks are happy about that kind of stuff and enjoying the content and enjoying each other's company and talking about stuff beyond just the show. It's great. So really glad to see that.
Agree. Fully agree. How about you, my friend? Who are your words of kindness this week?
So funny enough, I didn't know if we were going to get to talk about this. We may not get to talk about it, which is okay if we have other stuff that takes priority. But I wanted to shout out Keith David, because
the voice actor.
Voice actor, very, very good, talented actor. Absolutely love his work, both on the film or just behind the microphone. And long time been just loved Keith David ever since I was like a wee teen, watching Gargoyles and Saturday morning cartoons and stuff, or afternoons on Disney and stuff. But he, I don't know how it worked out, but because of Lance Reddick's sudden passing, the voice of Zavala for Destiny 2, who's the main titan in Destiny 2, one of the lead characters, was gone. And the community was really bummed about it. There was a lot of homages to his work and stuff, but we didn't know what was going to happen with that.
Right.
A lot of us had kind of thought like, it's going to go two ways. Either Bungie's going to kill off the character and just not push forward with Zavala. Right. That would be very hard given the current storyline to be able to do that at such short notice without any kind of lines from him to kind of send off the character.
Sure.
And the alternative was, recast. And I had always hoped that was going to be something that was going to be like a voice alike. They've done this in the past. They've done this with bands, with lead singers who've passed away. But seeing Keith David post a video to the Destiny community, letting them know that he is going to be taking up the mantle for Zavala, with respect to Lance Reddick, was the thing that just brought me joy this week, because it's one of those things where it's like I've grown to love Lance's work because of the community that I found around Destiny 2, but knowing Keith David and having his legacy brought into Zavala, I think will be tremendous, because he has presence and assertion in his voice that is commanding of attention when he speaks, and having him be in that role like Lance, it was like a perfect choice. So it really brought up my week. So I don't know if we need to dive too much more into that topic, but bro, that
sounded emotional.
It was really emotional to wake up to and be like, oh, this is fantastic news. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome for a terrible situation.
Sure. Yeah, that certainly does mean a lot. And Keith David, just genuinely an iconic voice in his own right, whereas Lance's voice is so unique, as is Keith David's. And to see the respect that he put into that video was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, definitely respectful to the communities involved, and really interested for me on an outside as a non-Destiny player to see how the community accepts him once his work starts getting seen in game.
I think they've already accepted it.
Yeah.
I don't think you could ask for a better replacement for Lance Reddick.
Yeah. Well, for any listener that's unsure, Keith David, that's Halo's Arbiter. And he's in Mass Effect as, I believe, David Anderson. So, that name's probably familiar to you.
Yep.
Well, Logan, we should go ahead and give our shout outs to both new patrons and our tier 2 and 3s. We got a new patron this week in Steel Rain, who is a fantastic community member. Works a lot with Pong Soul, who joined me for Creator Talk this past week, which was really, really cool. And so to see Steel Rain jump in there, to see a known community member choose to support XEP, really meant a lot. Just a fantastic person, and great content creator in his own right. So it meant a lot to see his name pop up, and then also support his co-host in Pong Soul. That Creator Talk series, I think, is really growing to be a great place for people who are interested in what happens behind the scenes for content creation, but also if they're creating things themselves. I know Mr. Matty Plays was on it and people really liked that episode, but it's neat to see that element growing. So that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I know you're not, shameless plug here, but your interview with Mr. Matty Plays 2 was really heavily directed towards like content creation and helping creators get a better footing, understanding like what that's like and stuff, and all of the stuff that we deal with on a regular basis when it comes to content creation. So that was a really good listen too.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I think I'm finding the feet with Creator Talk. I think I'm finding what I want it to be, and trying to find a really good, diverse group of creators to come on there was cool. So, would you mind reading our tier 2 and 3 shout outs, the people that help keep the lights on and the content coming?
I get to do it twice. Here we go. All right. So thank you to Robbie Bobby Miller, Silent Cypher, Xbox Skittle, Steel Rain, Rick Gaffney, Zach LeCouture, African, aka Charles Jones, Game Positive, Jam Pack Sam, Matt Valdez, Neo Prime 33, Rick Davis, Red Beast, Xbox Mike 29, Matt Without Fear, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, Brendan Myers, aka the Winter Gamer, Sony's VP of Marketing Kevin Butler, Flint Coombs, DJ Hero, and Dano12. Thank you all so much for your love and support. And if you're looking to join this list, head over to patreon.com/Xbox Wrap Up. You'll be able to join up.
That's not right. Xbox Expansion Pass.
Xbox Expansion Pass. What?
You said wrap up.
I know it's. I'm taking over. Go over to patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass. You too can join in on the conversation as well as on the Discord and share some good stories and some exciting hype for stuff that's coming out or stuff that you're playing.
And just remember, if you support the Trophy Room's Patreon and not XEP's, you're a communist. There you go. All right, Logan.
Smelly Joe. No, I love him.
Let's get to some gaming news for this week. I think we did already kind of touch on the Keith David role. That's a really good, I think, news story. I think a lot of people are uplifted by that. I'm really happy to see. I have been on a TMNT kick lately, thanks to the new movie. I've been reading the comic books, which has been an absolute blast. The IDW run is fantastic. I'm on almost in with volume 2, which has been really, really fun. Playing a lot of Cowabunga Collection and Shredder's Revenge, knocking out all the achievements there. And I got some wonderful news and some frustrating news in terms of TMNT crossovers and a new TMNT game announced. Let's start with the new TMNT game. A new game based on The Last Ronin is officially in development. We found out the name of the studio that is working on it. I think it raises some eyebrows because I'm a little concerned based on their pedigree, but I'm so stoked this is happening. If anyone's unfamiliar, The Last Ronin is a fantastic graphic novel and comic run of the Ninja Turtles that takes place in the future from the standard comics written by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. And it stars a single turtle with the other 3 brothers that have died and passed away. And this Ronin, this singular turtle, is trying to make amends with the universe and figure out his place and still bring justice around. And it's a really, really compelling story. And to see that a game is being made on it is fantastic. Now, Logan, you and I both kind of raise eyebrows at the studio that's working on it. It's Black Forest Games, developers of games like Fade to Silence. They worked on Destroy All Humans remasters 1 and 2. That's a little concerning to me because The Last Ronin is such a well-regarded graphic novel. Like, it's universally acclaimed, right? If you're a TMNT fan, it's great. If you're just a comic fan, it's still great. The standard set by that graphic novel is high. I'm curious if this studio is up for it, because we haven't seen a AAA game from them that has fired on all cylinders. And that's not to say their work was bad with Destroy All Humans or Fate of Silence. Those are not bad remasters nor bad games. It's just that the standard is quite high. And we're coming off of 2 fantastic outings in the Cowabunga Collection and Shredder's Revenge. So I'm really curious to see how this happens. We do know the game is PC, PS5, and Series X. Really excited about that. But, should we be concerned? Where are you at when you saw this news?
So I was watching the
Don't spoil it,
THQ. Yeah, well, yeah, we may or may not have factually spoiled that earlier this year.
We did not do that.
Yeah, you didn't stop me. You didn't edit it out either. So
I didn't know how at the time.
that's fair. Super fair. So yeah, I was watching the THQ Nordic showcase, the digital showcase that they had yesterday, and they had a fair amount of stuff kind of announced. THQ Nordic, not quite the powerhouse publisher that they used to be, but still pretty decent, and has been scooping up a lot of studios and developers and IP for that matter over the last probably 5 years at this point. And to see them announce that they have the rights to do The Last Ronin, I'm glad that they got it. But I was kind of hopeful that if we ever got one, that would be from a little bit more of a esteemed esteemed studio. Like I think there's a few studios out there that I think are really, really talented, that have done a fantastic job with story narrative games that focus on single characters in probably a third person perspective on a platform that we don't usually talk about. That when I found out that it was Black Forest Games, I was like, okay, I got to do a little more research, because it sounds familiar, but it's not ringing. It's ringing a bell, but it's not giving me like the full context. So I dug into the wiki. I pulled up their games and I started to scrub through Metacritic and OpenCritic, and I was not impressed. I think that there's obviously a lot of fun to be had with the games that they've made. They're good fun.
Those are good button mashing, fun, turn your brain off games, which I like.
Yeah.
But is that what The Last Ronin needs?
I don't think that's what Last Ronin deserves. I think The Last Ronin deserves a very noir, futuristic, narrative driven, like if Ninja Theory was doing this, I think we'd be having a much different conversation about what The Last Ronin could be.
Sure.
So it's like I'm glad that it's getting made. I don't think it'll be the last game that ever gets made that covers The Last Ronin, but it's definitely one where I'm like, I'm a little hesitant, but I'm going to be hopeful, because I know that there's a lot of meat there that they could really chew in, or bite into and chew on for a while, that they could make a good game out of it.
Right. I again concerned because the standard set by the graphic novel is so high. The standard set by the collection of games, not the game, but the collection of games that Digital Eclipse worked on with the Cowabunga collection, which I got that collector's edition.
It's a nice one too.
It is a very nice one. I haven't opened this one yet because I'm just nervous too, but it's really nice. The standard set by Shredder's Revenge was very high, albeit a button mashing game, right? And then to see The Last Ronin's reception in the graphic novel space, the high marks that the movie is getting, there's a lot of excitement around TMNT as a franchise. Very curious what happens. And Zachary Brew wrote in over on Twitter and wants to know, what kind of game we're hoping The Last Ronin will be. To my way of thinking, I want this to be a third-person stealth action game, a la Arkham, something very similar to Arkham. Maybe not fully open world but wide linear, because the Last Ronin can the graphic novel does take you to a few different like biomes or areas. So I'm, depending on how they want to handle that, but that's who or the kind of game that I envision it to be, very similar to Arkham, and Rocksteady would have been my choice to make the game, right? Because
Yeah.
the standard is so high and their pedigree is so high, and I don't want Rocksteady to make that Suicide Squad game. So that's my
Oh, you've
mentality.
turned. Oh,
It's
have I
just,
turned you on that?
I don't know that I was ever against you. I was excited at the time, but more and more, it's just like, come on. So I don't know that I turned, because I don't think I was ever
Oh.
against you. It was just I was sad that it is what it is. But DC's burned me a lot lately, but that's a different story. Regardless, I really hope this game is what we as TMNT fans or comic book fans can live up to the very high standards set, and we'll see.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I land on it. How about you? Where do you land in on it?
I don't think I don't think that this will hit at a triple A level. I think this will be a solid double A for
Mhm.
sure. The main concern I have is looking at what Black Forest Games has produced, not published but produced.
Mhm.
A lot of their titles have been remakes that have gotten pushed out year after year after year after year. There hasn't been like a 6-year gap where they've worked on something for a long time.
Mhm.
If this game comes out any sooner than 2028, I'm gonna
2028.
2020 5-year development cycle, buddy. 5-year. It's
That's not happening. It's
2023.
2025. That's when that game's coming out.
You think it's 20? See, 2-year turnaround on this?
Well, it's already been in
Not.
development for a bit. That's my only caveat in
Has
there.
it though? Has it though? I mean, they've
We've
been
heard
working
about
on.
it for about a year.
We've heard that there might be something going on,
Mhm.
but that could have been like them shopping the IP out.
Certainly.
Look at the Wikipedia for Black Forest Games. Those folks have been busy, man.
Mhm.
They have content coming as recent as 2022, and they
Mhm.
have been making their own Destroy All Humans game as well. It's not just all remasters and ports and stuff like that, which is
Mhm.
why I'm concerned.
Sure.
It doesn't
But
seem like they've really built anything up on their own.
I think the reason I'm confident in saying 2025 is because right now Kevin Eastman is working on The Last Ronin 2,
Yeah,
which continues that story, and that's set to hit right around then. There's going to be a TV series that follows up the movie that just came out
yeah,
over the next year or so, and then there's a sequel movie also planned. So I think they're going to try and time it to latch into that hype. That's why I say that. Not that I'm
gotcha.
arguing the needed development time. I'm thinking franchise relevance. Um,
Yeah,
that's
if
where I'm
I
coming from.
if I had my druthers though, you know what was a really good Last Ronin game that wasn't a Turtles game?
Ghosts of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima. It
Oh, is
was
that
a
what you're actually going to say?
Yeah, it really was. He was the last samurai during a
Yeah.
Mongol invasion into one of the small islands off the coast of Japan.
Mhm.
It's a perfect combat system. There's different styles of sword that Jin Sakai like has to learn and grow
Mhm.
with. There's a ninja aspect to his combat style that he had to grow with.
Mhm.
That's a perfect turtle Last Ronin game right there, man. Instead of 4 sword styles, you have one sword style, you have a sai style, you have a bow staff style, and you've got a nunchuck style. And it's just, you just switch
Yeah.
between those depending on, it's like, it's
Oh, it's
right there,
there.
man.
It's there. I'm not arguing that logic one bit. I
The
just
fact that you got to it without knowing that that's where I was going, that proves that Sucker Punch has the
oh,
chops.
100% they have the chops. I just don't like seeing major properties go exclusive. That's not something I don't
Fair.
like when Star Wars is exclusive. I don't like that Spider-Man is exclusive or Wolverine. I would not want Batman to be exclusive. So that's my mentality
Yeah.
on that. I think sometimes those franchises shouldn't be exclusive.
There's
Uh,
your mom joke there that I'm not going to say.
How dare you? How dare you? But that's, that's my mentality with it.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I am hopeful for it, and I'm enjoying the TMNT hype that comes around right now. I tend to get into things pretty heavily, um, and then kind of fade out as the hype fades down. My childhood stuff, but I'm also watching the TMNT crossover content that's showing up in different games, and
Yeah.
Ellery. They wrote in asking, what games would we love to see a TMNT crossover with? I'm going to use this to segue into the idea that we've seen crossover content in Session, which is a skating game. Mutant Mayhem skins are available for free in that game right now. I believe they are teasing TMNT costumes for Fall Guys, which is interesting. I'm sure that will be paid. I don't think it's out yet. And then Street Fighter 6 did quite the opposite of Session, where they had free skins. Street Fighter 6 has highly overpriced skins that dropped into their store. And I want to address the highly overpriced part, if you don't mind. So
No.
The skins in Street Fighter 6, they're not playable characters, but they are skins that add to your avatar. And they are priced a little over $15 with in-game currency. Now, Logan, I'm a Fortnite player. I will spend some money on some skins to enjoy my video games. I like doing that. But Fortnite is a free-to-play experience that has proven itself time in and time out that you are going to have a good time. Street Fighter 6 is a full-priced game with a full-priced battle pass that is dropping these skins at $15 per turtle, plus cost of money for emotes. No bundle aspect is possible or available to you. And that is very frustrating because those skins are mode limited. You can't play with them in standard multiplayer. You can apply it to your avatar's appearance in the single player create a character campaign, which kind of makes it into a third person Turtles action game, which I'm enjoying, right? I enjoyed that part of it, but I only bought one turtle. I did it so I could capture footage and because I like TMNT, but I wasn't able to get a bundle version. I wasn't able to play it in standard multiplayer. And I think that's really frustrating because it's a full price game with a full price battle pass.
Yeah.
The pricing is predatory. The content is still good. The skins look great. I got Leonardo. Looks great in action. Looks great in cutscenes. It's impressive. It suits Street Fighter quite well, but it's overpriced given that it's mode limited. And to get all the turtles would cost the full price of a game. You'd be spending $60.
We've also seen the turtles in other fighting games, and I don't think the price, and they were their own characters, and I don't think the price for those was nearly as steep.
Well put. Yeah, they were in Injustice 2. It wasn't as expensive. You bought one, you got all four, and they were their own characters. You're absolutely right. And side note, Injustice 2 is on sale all the time, guys, and it's well worth it. Well worth it.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. So I was frustrated by this crossover despite enjoying it and purchasing it. I only purchased one, mind you. But that's very frustrating to see that level of crossover. And I made that content specifically to show people, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it wasn't the only pricing snafu that we saw this week either.
What do you mean?
Well, we found out that Red Dead Redemption is finally coming to PlayStation 4 and Switch.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Go ahead. You want to share this one?
So yeah, Rockstar announced that Red Dead Redemption, the original title that came out in 2010, is set to arrive on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 on August 17th. Of this is literally like 5 days away from time of recording, and this is a really rough thing for Red Dead Redemption fans because this is a straight port. As far as I can tell, there is not a whole lot gone into this to really kind of upscale to do any kind of like spiffing up. We talk a lot about like, and I've shared my thoughts on like remasters and stuff and remakes and the value there versus if they belong in like game of the year kind of conversations. And we had our whole Patreon thing where we kind of talked about like our game of the years and whether or not Resident Evil 4 deserved to be in there alongside like Dead Space and such.
Right.
This is equivocally a money grab, much like the TMNT crossover costumes in Street Fighter 6 being $15 per turtle skin. This is a $50 port that will contain the original game as well as the Undead expansion that came later on. And it is only coming to Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 at this time. And it'll be backwards compatible for PS5, but I gotta say, man, I feel really bad for PlayStation 4 fans who were hoping to get a full-on remaster in the Red Dead 2 engine that was going to make the locations are in Red Dead Redemption 2. You've already rebuilt them. Why wouldn't you just take this time to do it justice and make a proper remake instead of a port? But what did you think about this, man? Do you have any reverence to this? Are you gonna? I've already gone back and started playing it, but I wanted to save that for a little bit
No,
later.
I totally get the frustration. So like on the surface level, to any PlayStation 4 or Switch player that has not played Red Dead Redemption 1, $50 is well worth it to play that game. Without a doubt, that game is worth $50 because you're getting Undead Nightmare. The problem with it is twofold. Red Dead Redemption is available in a cheaper capacity on an Xbox 360 upscaled to 4K with FPS boost in the best way you can buy that disc.
Doesn't have FPS boost, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Checked.
There are some really good stats for it, though, I should say.
Yeah, I checked the other day. I couldn't get auto HDR to work, and I couldn't get FPS boost, but it is running at 30 frames per second at 4K.
Okay, gotcha.
So Starfield.
Oh, there you go. Starfield level graphics. There you go. But the thing is, you can buy that game for $30 digital on Xbox and get the benefits of being in 4K right now. You can find a 360 disc of Red Dead Redemption and get all that content for even less than $30.
There's a Xbox One bundle out there.
Right.
It's a Game of the Year edition.
And you've got all that content, and it's cheaper and available in better specs. And that's very frustrating to me to see Rockstar do this, knowing full well that some of the things that were on that disc are not available, are that were available in the original version are no longer available. Certain like multiplayer elements and little things there. And so that really bums me out because it felt predatory. It also feels like this is what you chose to work on after neglecting Red Dead 2's online and avoiding a remaster of one of the best games ever made, because Red Dead 1 is one of the best games ever made. So, when I take a step back, $50 is not overpriced. When I take another step back, I realize that Xbox gamers have better access to this game in the best version for a far lower price. It feels predatory for PlayStation 4 and Switch owners, and I hope they don't support it. It's a 13-year-old port coming to PC and coming to PS4 and whatnot. And it's just it's a bummer because they're just re-releasing this to take money. And in the wake of the GTA remasters that I think we've talked about on this show, in the wake of that, this just feels strange. If you've never played Red Dead Redemption, and you've only got a PS4, fine. Switch, fine. But better place to play this is on Xbox. Even on PS5 with back compatible, I don't think it's worth your time. If you've got the money for PS5, don't support. I still say no. It was just frustrating to watch.
Yeah,
it was just frustrating to watch.
Also, there's no comment. So I didn't know this at the time, and I don't know if I have the disc around me. I don't see it, but so the Xbox One bundle that I got a used copy for $20. Mm-hmm. There is the map that was in the original game. Mm-hmm. That bundle actually got put in. The map actually got put in there. So, and if you know Red Dead has a beautiful map. It's like a really cool kind of westerning look thing, but that was actually in there as well. So we haven't heard if the Switch version, I guarantee you the Switch version case is not going to be big enough to handle the map. And I doubt that the PS4 copy will have it in there, just because it seems like they're really lowballing it for this. And it's such a bummer, because this is going to be the main way that a lot of people are really going to get introduced to Red Dead that probably haven't, if they are predominantly like a Nintendo fan. And we used to say this back in like 2017 when they would release a copy of a game on physical. It would have like it would be $10 more than the digital version. We called it it'd be $10 more than everyone else's version, and we would call it the Switch tax. This is that plus like a mafia type loan attached to it because it's just they're holding you for ransom. This is about as GTA as you can get from Rockstar.
Mhm.
And it's just I'm glad that they're doing it, but this was not the right way to do it. And they defended this online as well too. They've actually come out and said like, oh well, this is the price tag for what it takes to port something like this. And I'm like,
No.
figure it out. You've got millions soaked up into the production for Red Dead Redemption 2. You've probably got millions soaked up into the production for GTA 6. You are literally the thing that gets me about this is that this is the same company that has ported GTA 5 from the PS3 to the PS4 to the PS5 for free.
Mhm.
Like you just get to play that. They give away that game. I got that game twice for free. One through a deal that they did through Amazon and one through Epic Games. They just give that game away because the microtransactions are so big for them that they want more people just to have access to the microtransactions than they do the actual game content at this point. And
Right.
for the longest time, it was one of the top selling games. So why is it that they are willing to go through the effort to milk that cash cow over the course of 3 generations? But when it comes to one game port that is revered from 2010, and a lot of people were pointing at the Last of Us 1 remake and being like, this is an egregious remake. And it is not an egregious remake.
Right.
But it is ridiculous that they are doing this considering the support that they've shown for GTA 5
Mhm.
and the lack of multiplayer support that they've shown for Red Dead Redemption 2. It really is apparent that this company is just throwing whatever sticks to the wall, hoping that some money will come out of it and they'll be able to funnel that into GTA 6 because they're desperately dying to get something out there that will stick the way GTA 5 did.
Right. It's a bummer. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
It's just disappointing. So, all right, let's move on here. I don't know if you saw this, Logan, and I can't remember if you guys talked about it last week, but Killer Instinct. Did you guys talk about Killer Instinct last week?
Yeah, I believe we did. It was really kind of cool, but you didn't get to join in on the conversation as like our resident fighter fan.
Um, I will say very quickly, I think it's really cool that Killer Instinct is getting an update. I really think it's really cool that they are going to be kind of doing balance patches for anybody that is interested in it. I am a fighting game fan, but I'm not good anymore. I love Mortal Kombat. I love Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6 to me is just fantastic. Really cool to see Killer Instinct is getting this. I love that Killer Instinct also has crossover characters. That's one of my favorite things. I love the crossover characters in
Battletoads.
Injustice. Yeah, Battletoad, ROM, like it's neat. I really hope that this is paving the way for a new Killer Instinct game, which I believe it is, right?
Mm,
Like they are bringing the franchise to relevance in the Year of the Fighters. Um, and I really hope that whether it's Killer Instinct proper or like a massive Microsoft fighter, which is what I actually want, I think it's neat and I think it's cool and it's good fan service. And as we just talked about with Rockstar not treating its fans well, Xbox, I think routinely, for the most part, does do right by its consumers right now, for the most part. I thought this was just kind of a neat thing. And so I'm glad you guys talked about it. I just wanted to note that I think it's cool to see this news happening in the Year of the Fighters, you know?
yeah.
So,
Yeah. I could nitpick the comment about doing well by customers for Xbox because I think that you and I both could agree that they have an issue with managing expectations and delaying games without and then releasing them without features. But I think on the whole,
on the whole,
on the whole, most of the time Xbox does whatever they can to ensure that customers or customer satisfaction is high
yeah,
for a
case
lot
in
of the
point,
stuff.
the back compat program that's getting you that Red Dead in the
Right.
best version,
Yep.
that that didn't have to happen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, so
Smart delivery.
right, smart delivery. There's a lot of like little things that they didn't have to do.
Hmm.
But you're right. Like that's not it's not a catch-all comment, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like a universal like they're best to customers. Like not always. No. I don't know if you saw did you see that the breakdown of Halo Infinite content and how Infinite now has more content than any Halo game ever to date? And I maintain that Halo Infinite's fantastic, but like it was a case of in my mind too little too late. Like you missed it, you know? yes, Halo Infinite does have more content than any other Halo game. Halo Infinite is on the right track. They brought in the Master Chief Collection people. That's great. Still missed the mark, and I think it's a shame. It's a shame. It's a bummer. That's mismanagement.
Yeah.
But it is also cool. I talk about doing right by your fans. They stuck with it, right? They
Yeah.
in many ways they ditched some stuff that I'm not a fan of, but they could have just abandoned altogether, and they didn't. So there's something in there, something.
Can I read? So one of my buddies, Caleb, he sent me a screen cap from Reddit, and I read it, and it cracked me up. But it was based on Halo Infinite.
Okay.
Can I read that to you and just kind of get a good chuckle out of it?
Yeah.
So the commenter was anonymous, very famous around the internet. You may know them.
I've heard of Anonymous now that you're saying that.
Yeah, very very popular entity out there in the world. It says you may not like it, but this is what peak live service looks like. Maps are free and now released as they are ready, with no tie-ins to season, or with no ties to season as far as like launch. All events are free without any sort of paid tier or buy-in. Battle passes pay out the following passes cost and are permanently available, meaning it's a $10 buy-in for all of the game's battle pass content.
Love that.
All store content is permanently available, meaning the only FOMO in the game is the participation in events. Say what you want about weak customization. This is the gold standard for live service. Also, it's the best multiplayer sandbox in the franchise. Don't even bother claiming otherwise. And I couldn't deny any of that, because I think it's actually really accurate.
I think it's very accurate as well. And still I'm disappointed. Right? And that's
the entitlement.
Is it? So that's the thing. I don't think it's entitlement in this unique case because of the timeline for when this is available, but
Yeah.
this person is 100% right. There's so much there now. The problem is there's something like a full year and change where it wasn't there. The last 8 months, they have given so much to Halo Infinite.
Look,
but there was so long between true content. There was like 2 maps in the first year.
Yeah.
And now there's like 8 added in the last few months.
Yeah.
Or 20 some added in the last 8 months. Sometimes I saw a stat. I'm misquoting it. But that comment is right. And truly, I wish our friend group would get back into Halo Infinite. I love Halo Infinite.
Luke, do you cook too often? Do you cook any breakfast by chance? You ever make any pancakes or waffles?
No, I'm in eggs.
Okay. So Xbox,
real exciting.
This is going to be a weird metaphor, but hopefully folks can stick with me on this.
Where he's taking us here.
Xbox development for the studios that they have, I swear to you, is like trying to make pancakes. The first couple are always just either undercooked or just not good. You're trying to like find that right temperature. You're trying to find out the right time for making waffles. But I guarantee you, man, like once you've gotten like 4 waffles knocked out, you're making like perfect golden pancakes, and you're making like that lumberjack stack. But it's always like that little time right when you start and you get the first couple waffles or pancakes out of the pan, and they're just like, you just kind of eat them while you keep making. They're not going to be great, but you're going to keep going. You're going to keep making more pancakes. That's kind of like Xbox Studios in general, because it doesn't feel like it's quite ready when it comes out. Like it could use a little bit more time, but once you get into like the 3rd season or the 4th season in some of these games, it's like, yeah, no, this is good. This is peak pancake.
So Xbox is the IHOP of publishers. I get it.
And not the Waffle House.
And not the Waffle. Cool. Waffle House. That's a different journey. But your metaphor is a stretch, but I get it. And I mean, you got to point out like what we were just talking about, Forza Motorsport, right? There's features that are going to be missing from Forza Motorsport when that game launches. I wouldn't argue they're the most important features. I think some people are overblowing a little bit of it, but something like split screen won't be there for Forza Motorsport 8. Also, real quick, everybody, split screen isn't it. Too many people make too big a deal about a game not having split screen. It's just not as relevant as it once was. There's not 4 ports on your N64 It's not that time period anymore. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't. It's not a thing that is as necessary as it once was. Some games, absolutely, but Forza Motorsport 8 will melt consoles if you're not careful. Like,
Yeah.
some things don't need uh, split screen. I think that's an overblown thing. Maybe I'm, the devil for suggesting it, but I don't think every game needs split screen.
Meanwhile, I, the smart person, mentioned that Xbox has been cultivating co-op split screen in their games, their first-party games, for the last 20 years, and I think it's indoctrinated into Xbox fans that this is a necessary thing.
Well, Coca-Cola used to have cocaine. All right,
All
things
right,
change.
yeah. No, what's really ironic about all of this is I just had a conversation with my wife who doesn't
Logan
play
loves
games.
cocaine. Yeah,
That that she would want to jump into games where we actually have like split screen co-op,
sure.
and that playing in separate rooms with headsets is not the best way to enjoy games like that. So like games like It Takes Two is like a perfect game
Sure. That game's not going to
for
melt your system, though.
no, it's not. Forza Motorsport will melt your system.
Yeah.
Please take care to put ice on top of your Xbox.
That's important.
When when you are playing Forza Motorsport, because it will need that cool air.
I saw that somebody was advertising an intercooler for the PS5, and I'm like, that thing is 3 stories tall to dissipate heat. You don't need an intercooler for you. There are no reports of PS5s overheating.
It's like buying those stands that have the fans underneath.
It's like, we'd like to put some dust from this angle. Here you go.
That's great.
It's crazy.
That's great.
But Forza Motorsport, definitely interesting to me that there is going to be features missing from the launch, given that we've had 2 Horizons out in between. Some of those features really should be there, but I don't think split screen needs to be the one that people are harping on.
This is the trade-off for next gen. Like we had split screen co-op on systems that weren't running ray tracing. Like, you want those really beautiful reflections that are accurate, that are actually not just screen space reflections. You want the legit ray tracing that everyone says, oh, I wanted to do. Why isn't it doing ray tracing? We were promised ray tracing this generation. This is it. It's got costs, and those costs are high. So if you want it, you're going to get it, but you're going to have to sacrifice something, and that's going to come at the cost of split screen co-op. It's just too much to render the game twice. That's how that works. It's not just, oh, we'll just, put 2 cars in a line between them. It's like, no, it is rendering the game twice, and it has to keep all of that math going. That's a split screen co-op is a very tough thing to do with the graphics expectations from gamers nowadays.
Yeah. Spectator mode will be missing at launch, racing with AI and featured multiplayer missing, and split screen. Again,
the multiplayer AI is a little bummer.
It is a little strange. It is a little strange. I'm surprised by that one, but split screen didn't bother me. Spectator mode, I think, is one of those things that'll be a nice addition when it gets there, but it's not going to break your experience. I don't think. It'd be nice if it was there. All of these would, like, logically it'd be nice if it was there, but I don't think people should be losing their minds on it. But to your point, it's the price of modern gaming.
Do you think
not in favor of it, by the way?
So I was on my high horse about this back in, was it May or June? I think it was June when we got the Xbox showcase, and there was no mention of Motorsport release date, and they had it tagged as spring 2024, and then they stealth delayed it to October. Now that they've got a firm hard date on the launch in October, but they've announced that features are going to be missing. How do you feel about, like, them continuing to push that launch date? Do you think they should be delaying it?
I think the game should come out in November, but I don't think that's really what you're asking. I think November was a better time.
Well, that's still a delay. I mean,
November would have been logical because of all the crowding that's taking place in September, October, and only COD is hitting November, really, like in terms of big games.
Yeah.
So I think November would have made more sense. I doubt 1 month makes the difference, but you cannot afford to delay Forza out of this calendar year. You can't just have Starfield and Redfall.
Sure you can.
Not after 2022, man. Not after
Well,
2022.
maybe after 2022.
So this year's Hi-Fi Rush, Age of Empires 2, Minecraft Legends, Redfall, Starfield, Forza Motorsport. And of those, the ones that are turning heads are Hi-Fi Rush and Starfield and Forza Motorsport. So those 3 games. November is probably the latest you could put out Forza.
Not December.
I wouldn't say December. No.
Are you pushing because of the like Game Awards and stuff, or are you just saying like?
No, I just think relevancy. I think November is a good time to release a game, and December is not a good time for a first party release. So, and I don't know that I have logical reason. This might not be one of those cases where I'm like able to build you an argument. It's more based on intuition. January feels good to release a game. December
that's what I was going to say. I was going to say delay it to January 2024. There won't be anything there. It won't get the reverence that a lot of games launching in fall will when it comes to the end of the year discussions. But
I think in November, October, it moves units. Whereas December, maybe it doesn't move units. The word of mouth is there. And they really want this year or this holiday to be a move unit holiday for them. I don't think it's a beat PlayStation in the year of Spider-Man 2, but they've fixed production problems with the consoles, and now they need you to buy that console, right?
They need that Series S 1 terabyte sold.
Right. And they're ahead of their projection, or they're ahead of the Xbox 360 in terms of sales rate, but behind PlayStation 5 2-1. So important to move some units this holiday and show that Starfield matters and show that a game being a Game Pass still helps move units.
So counterpoint to that, marketing beats out there that Starfield's going to be available on Samsung TVs.
I don't think that's a needle mover.
It's not. It's not a needle mover, but it's an interesting counterpoint to they need to sell a box when they're telling people go buy if you use your Samsung TV, buy a controller.
I don't think that's a marketing beat, really. Not yet, right? Like that's the future. Yeah. I don't think that is a pillar that's going to eat any sales. I think somebody that has a controller with the Samsung TV is going to be like, oh, I'll try it. I don't think anybody's like, I'm buying it for this.
But you don't think that someone who has a Samsung controller would forgo buying a console, knowing that they can do it on their TV?
I think more likely it will move consoles. I think they'll try it. Like, this is really cool, but it's not quite optimal. I want optimal. I think that's more likely to happen at this point in streaming technology, right?
Fair.
Streaming technology is great for trying games. I don't think it's great for full experience.
Yeah.
That's my armchair analyst take with very little experience of actually streaming lately, right? So take that grain of salt, but that's a good thing for listeners to write in. If you're that guy, if you're the PlayStation guy that has a Samsung TV, where you at? Like, does that change it for you? But I think it's more likely to get people to buy a console than the other way around.
So, interesting.
For now, maybe 10 years from now, it's the other way. So
yeah.
Let's see. Game Pass gamers were hit with a stealth drop of a remaster of Quake 2, which I thought was really cool. Now, I say stealth drop. It was definitely a stealth drop, but we'd had so many leaks, it didn't feel like it for those who like listen to podcasts regularly.
Yeah.
I think it was cool that this happened. It's $10 on other platforms like PlayStation can get it for $10. I think Steam can get it for $10. But really cool that Game Pass gamers are getting it. You can also purchase it on Xbox for $10. Pretty darn good remaster from what I've seen. I looked at the trailers.
Yeah.
It looks quite clean, quite impressive. Neat. I thought it was cool. Nice to see that happen in there. I feel like QuakeCon is a convention for Quake fans, obviously, but like I don't know that it's the spectacle that it once was, but for this to happen, QuakeCon.
QuakeCon, yeah, it is still very popular. It is,
but it's not what it was. Is my point.
I mean,
we're all eyes of the gaming industry on it. I don't think so.
Not necessarily like how it used to be, but still, like I don't know, man. That QuakeCon is still a very revered convention, and it is stuck around for a long time.
Sure, but I don't think it's the biggest thing. It's like Sea of Thieves Fest in this year, right? Versus
Yeah.
a year where they put out the biggest update, right? If there was a new Quake game or a new id property dropping, I think
Hmm.
it'd be a little bit different. But my point is, like, for this to happen during QuakeCon is cool. It brought
Yeah.
attention to the convention to people that may not have realized it. I think it makes Quake a more accessible franchise to people that may not understand its history and the importance of it. I was always a Doom guy, but knowing I can jump in and now play Quake 2's remaster on Game Pass is cool.
Yeah. I think a lot of us were kind of hoping we would get a Wolfenstein update out of QuakeCon,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't. We don't know what it's doing.
They're saving that for a first party convention or game awards.
Yeah, I can see that, but it's kind of like a, it's always nice when you're, when you get picked to go to the prom, like you get picked out of the people that you like, the person that you wanted to pick you picks you. So it's like QuakeCon is like the place where you revere the fandom, where you really kind of show out. Like Quake 2 being back is fantastic, but I think if you wanted to really kind of honor the moment, for the fans of QuakeCon or just id Software in general, talk about Wolfenstein. Just bring it out.
The time for that is not. I don't think it's going to happen in a world where Xbox now owns it. Now it's going to be at an E3-esque style event or a Gamescom. Probably not
Thanks,
Games.
Phil
Probably Game
Spencer.
Awards. It's a Keeley thing.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer out here.
Crushing dreams.
I know.
Crushing dreams.
Putting muzzles on Bethesda.
Yep. All right. So let's see. I think it's a smaller thing. I put it in our main document, but Avowed, a recent documentary from Obsidian showed that Avowed was originally pitched as a co-op title. I think that is funny because that's definitely a pre-Xbox acquisition thing to try and feel like people are going to pick it up. You know what I mean? Like, hey, no, it's a co-op title. Like, nudge, nudge. Will you support this? And that it's now a single player event is pretty darn cool. I think that's dope.
I am not going to be able to share too much information about this.
He knows things.
So, but
Do you want me to move on? I don't have any more to say myself. So
yeah, I can't really talk about it
All
too
right.
much. Looking forward to Avowed, how it comes out in the state that it comes out, because I think it'll be really cool.
There you go. Excellent stuff. Not really much to say about this other than I was looking forward to Atlas Fallen, ended up not getting a code for this one, and
Yeah.
seeing the reviews that came out largely around the 7 range
Yeah.
told me that I can wait for sale on this one because my wallet is tight right
Double
now. Yeah, and Double A's up my alley, like right Darksider statue right there, and this game looks like Darksiders in a lot of ways.
Wow.
Um,
Shade thrown to the developers of Darksiders.
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 Oh, Darksiders is Double A all day, 100%, 100%.
They
I
know
love
what
it.
they are.
Yeah, I love it, but let's not kid. But my point is, for the game to come out in all 7s in an era, in a window of time where we're set to get banger after banger, from the course of late August through October, I don't have the money to run that gauntlet, so I'm just waiting for a sale, I think, for that one. I was definitely going to play it if we could have reviewed it, but given all the things that are going to happen for coverage, I was like, no. But I'll say, 7.5 on PlayStation, or PSU, IGN 7, Push Square 7, Destructoid 7, Press Start 6, Gameblog 6, Eurogamer 3.5 out of 5. It's got a meta of 67, open of 68. Cool. I'm definitely going to play this. I'm just going to wait for a bit.
Can I say that the Metacritic and OpenCritic is actually lower than most of the, well, no, compared to the Destroy All Humans games. So
that's apples and oranges, man. What?
It's apples and oranges, but we're looking at numbers, and that's all that matters to gamers. Numbers. The bigger the number, the better. No, so this is going to be one of those ones because this is coming out this month, right? In 3 months, it'll be September, October, November, which would be right about the time for like a 15%, maybe 20% off deal for Black Friday. So I will probably keep an eye on this and see if that's something that you can get a smoking good deal on when
That's
the
what I want.
publisher's like, yeah, have a sale for Black Friday.
Because I want to play Atlas Fallen. I
Yeah,
really do. That's my kind of game.
not enough for full price.
Right. Not in this crowded time. Had it been a month earlier, it would have been. Right.
It would be a really good December or January title.
Yeah, it would. And I'm looking forward to it. I just decided I was going to hold off because of the crowding. Right. I'll jump into Immortals of Avium if we get a review for that one. Unless that one's hitting 9, it's probably the same thing for me. Because there is just so much
going to be same.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, those are my kind of games. Mindless, turn your brain off and go.
Yeah.
But do I want to spend all my money on that, or do I want to save it for Alan Wake, Spider-Man, Starfield, et cetera, et cetera? You know what I mean? Like there are just other bigger games that I think I'm going to wait and spend my money there for. So,
you can always wait on those games too, Luke. Okay.
No, Alan Wake. I will not wait on Alan Wake. Starfield, thankfully, is Game Pass. Spider-Man 2, I have that collector's edition.
Yeah.
That I snagged. Gosh, we have a full list. What else is happening? Mortal Kombat, probably gonna end up with that one. Probably won't do Assassin's Creed. Definitely gonna do Sonic Superstars. Definitely gonna do Avatar.
Can I just say, like, Sonic Superstars? I saw some video footage from that from earlier this. I think it was last month. Can't remember what it was from. I think it was from. I think it was from
Nintendo Twitch. Something or another. I think wasn't there?
I thought there was one more recent. I think it was TwitchCon in Europe that I saw like video footage of it, but it looked so good. It looked like such reverence to the original games. Understanding mechanics that were brought in through, some of the 3D titles and stuff. It just looks like it's going to be really good. I'll be very impressed if that game does not rate high.
I'm really excited. I love Sonic. I really do. And I feel like Sonic fans have gotten a lot of good experiences lately, both in the movies, the shows, in the game space. Sonic Origins Plus just released. That was a nice upgrade for our Origins. You had Sonic Frontiers, and then of course Sonic Mania is still out there. Sonic's a good franchise, so there we go. All right, let's see. I feel like we've touched on a lot of what we wanted to touch on. Did you want to talk about Overwatch? I don't really have an interest in this one, but if you got
it's good to note, because like a lot of us has kind of forgotten that a year ago, almost a year ago at this point, 10 months ago, Overwatch 2 released with very little fanfare, being a free-to-play game with some pretty hefty prices for the battle pass as well as skins, things like that. Not a whole lot of people really understood what was going on, and then they announced that they were getting rid of a lot of the PvE aspects to it, but we're still going to bring some to it. So Overwatch 2 Invasion is now available. As I can understand it, I haven't paid for it. It is a $14 DLC that contains the story missions as well as a couple little bits and bobs along with it. Additionally, there's a $40 Invasion bundle, which has like legendary skins and battle pass tier jumps and stuff like that. Just much more value for what you're buying for the actual content. But the main storylines are not the main storylines, but the story mission for this is set up so you can team up with your friends and play through 3 action-packed missions where you're going to face new enemies, a new complex adventures or objectives across Rio de Janeiro, Toronto, and Gothenburg, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the content that I played back in 2019 when I was at the last BlizzCon. So it kind of makes me wonder how long this stuff has been sitting in the hopper. The press release said, turn up the competition and set your sights to the new Flashpoint PvP mode with 2 new maps and 2 new massive maps. You can also take back control of London with Null Sector in Underworld, a limited time free-to-play co-op event that updates weekly. You can also receive prestigious rewards for games played and your individual performance with the new player progression system. They also took this time to announce a new support hero called Iari, and it's more of a Mayan influence. Very beautiful voice actress, from the sound of her, and it's an influence kind of like the Mayans are like the children of the sun, so all of their power for their temples and their civilization was all kind of solar powered, and certain people could actually be like infused with this solar power. It looks really cool. The video that they did for it was fantastic, and she was always kind of deemed as someone who's going to be a very special person. So she trained and trained and trained. When she finally got her chance to be kind of indoctrinated into, or not indoctrinated, inducted into the group of the children of the sun, after her procedure, where everyone's kind of like, it's almost like kind of watching someone getting baptized in Catholic religion. And
Jesus.
yeah, except,
really took me on a journey here.
Jesus explodes into a ball of light and wipes out the entire civilization instead of dying for your sins and what have you. So, but she she has a dual action solar rifle and a healing pylon. She's able to deal long range damage while offering support for her teammates. I think it's a fantastic new hero. It's right up my alley as far as like finding a good balance between support and damage, kind of like Baptiste or Ana. So very curious to see how she falls into the meta, given the last support that released, which was extremely overpowered for a long time. And how this will kind of fall in with a lot of the teams that are currently competing in the Overwatch League, and just kind of go there. But wanted to give an update. Blizzard fan for the most part. So, and I got friends working on it, so I just wanted to kind of shout out the content. Go look at the pretty skins. Make an honest choice about the $15 or $14 for the story missions. That was content that I saw back in 2019.
There we go.
That's what I got.
That was a lot to follow, but I'm with you. I got you.
Yes. Went on a journey there.
We did go on a journey. So there we go. All right, let's get to some listener questions here before we wrap up. This one comes from Twitter user Jose Martinez. What's up, dude? He, by the way, drew me a fantastic avatar that I'm going to start implementing into.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really good. So it'll start popping up here and there over the next few weeks. So he asks, do you think that Baldur's Gate 3 is poised to upset Starfield for Game of the Year? What's the over-under that avatars will be able to be nude in Starfield? Asking for a friend. I do think Baldur's Gate is poised to upset a lot of games, including Starfield, for Game of the Year. Baldur's Gate has been turning heads. I saw a couple outlets saying it's a PS3 or PS5 exclusive, but it's not out yet on PlayStation. And the release date for Xbox is still pending, which I thought was funny. People were getting excited there. But Baldur's Gate 3 seems to be just really impressing a lot of people in a lot of ways. I think it's poised to upset. And as far as being nude in Starfield, no, I don't think Xbox wants that heat, and that'll be left to the mod community.
Yeah,
I don't really have an interest in that anyway.
Look, if you want your nude Chun-Li, you're gonna have to do it on your own time. All right. Keep that stuff out of Evo. Keep that stuff out of
that did happen at Evo, and that was funny. Can't believe.
Oh, I know.
God, goodness. Look that up on your own time, guys. What a dummy.
There are some videos I was watching that was like covering the news, and they did a good job of blurring it for YouTube. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But yeah, first off, Jose Martinez, how dare you? For these metaphors, these references to sports ball things. Over under on avatars being no, I don't know what that means. I don't comprehend percentiles and things like that.
Didn't we have this debate like a month ago or 2 months?
Yeah, we don't know what that means. It's rude. No, thank you for writing it. But as far as Baldur's Gate is being poised to upset Starfield, no. I think the general populace and the games media and stuff, they know that this is going to be a big Xbox exclusive. I think it's going to pop off when it goes live. People are going to start showing screenshots. The hype is going to show up for it, and I think that it is going to kind of rule for the amount of time that we get until probably Alan Wake. I would imagine. I think Cyberpunk will hit for a while, but probably not like nearly as big as Starfield. I think there's so much fandom involved with Bethesda that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be a fantastic game to rule August, but it's not going to upset Starfield for Game of the Year.
Yeah, I don't think much pushes Starfield out of the conversation, even Mario, which is weird. But I think it's the people that are playing Mario are probably not in these communities as much, like the content creation community on a whole, right? At least where I frequent. And Cyberpunk is going to be a longer tail, but right now it's going to be all, or the rest of the year once it comes out will be all Starfield. That's my thought.
Yeah. I think it deserves to be in the running for Game of the Year, just because of what Larian Studios has done with this. But
okay, so you're talking about Baldur's. Yeah.
Nobody cared about Baldur's Gate that didn't know about Baldur's Gate before Baldur's Gate 3.
Sure, you're right. Nobody was outside of that conversation thinking about Baldur's Gate, and then when that's a good point. And I had this conversation with Pong Soul and Fun Speculation. Which shout out to them. When you look at this year, Hi-Fi Rush, Resident Evil 4, Dead Space, Tears of the Kingdom, Street Fighter, Diablo, Hogwarts, Baldur's Gate 3, Jedi Survivor, and then you've still got Alan Wake, Mario, Starfield, Spider-Man 2. Like, the conversation for Game of the Year is just so fundamentally different than 2022 that your list could be 10 games long and you'd have a legitimate contender. You know?
Will this be one of the best years for gaming, though?
I think it's the best year for gaming ever. Ever. Like, undeniably, I think it's the best year for games ever. It's just wild to me that you can start a year with a stealth drop like Hi-Fi Rush. You can get a game like Age of Empires 2, and they're forgotten not because they're bad, but because there's so much goodness. You got the return of third-person horror games at their best with Resident Evil 4 and the Dead Space remake. Tears of the Kingdom is a successful sequel to one of the best games made in Breath of the Wild. Street Fighter made its return. Mortal Kombat 1 is coming in with for all signs, and I've played it, all signs very strong there. Harry Potter fans got an incredible third-person action game. Diablo made its return to gaming. Baldur's Gate showcased what being in development for 7-8 years can do when you're engaged with the community and have a steady early access. We got the best Star Wars game ever made in Jedi Survivor. You're set to have the successor to Elder Scrolls in Starfield arrive. You're going to have a sequel to one of the best Spider-Man games ever made in Spider-Man 2. Mario's going to have a 2D, the first 2D Mario game that is new from a new style this year. Sonic is getting a callback to its origins in Sonic Superstars. Alan Wake is getting a sequel. Assassin's Creed Mirage goes back to its roots. Forza Motorsport makes its return to gamers' mindsets. You get an expansion to Cyberpunk 2077. It is wild to me, the quality of games that are happening here, and not to mention the AA level games this year. Solid. Yeah. So to me, this is the best year in gaming ever. I just don't know how you match up anything else to it. And I would say that with respect to, I think it's 2007 and 2009. Seven and one other one.
7 and 9, I think, are the biggest.
Yeah. So
in 96.
I don't remember that one well
huge.
Enough.
It was huge.
Gotcha.
It was absolutely huge. It was the year, I think 96 was the year that 3D games came into their own.
Okay.
On the N64.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I mean, this year just seems to me to be this year seems to be the best year of video game releases. So if anyone disagrees, I would love to read your comments and hear your discourse.
Oh, don't worry. I wasn't listening on the list that you were doing. I was too busy making a change my mind meme for you for this week. So that's already in the Discord. So
there we go.
Folks can address that.
There we go. I'm in. Now I got to go look at it. Which Discord is it in? Oh,
it's in ours. It's just in memes.
I love the meme channel on our Discord, by the way. Makes me very happy. It makes me very happy. So.
All right. All
right, next question. Last question.
Last
question. Yeah, we are getting distracted, but I'm having fun. I missed you. All right. This question comes from Todd Oxtra. He's a patron and wrote in over on Twitter. Are expectations for Hellblade 2 too high to be a huge hit? The first game was acclaimed, but still niche with a great story. So gameplay. The previews have been visually stunning, but the gameplay and story have been a bit vague for newcomers. It is a fair question to ask. I don't think expectations are too high on Hellblade 2 because people have begun to temper because of the things you listed, Todd. But it needs to be a visual stunner and the gameplay better deliver. And I think that's probably why you haven't seen it. I would have thought we would have had the game by now. Truly. I would have thought we'd have the game by now because it was showcased in 2019 with the debut of the Series X. I would have thought we'd have the game by now, but we haven't.
Yeah.
And like I'm wearing a Hellblade 2 themed Xbox shirt.
Paid promotion.
Paid promotion. There you go.
Shill.
If it's a paid promotion, I could use some payment, guys. Where you at?
It's in the mail.
Come on, Xbox, speed it up. But I don't think expectations are too high for it. They need to be high. Should be high. It's a first party title. But I think that's probably why you haven't seen it yet. So,
I think we'll see. The thing is like we've seen some really cool stuff come from them earlier this year, especially like from CES and stuff. It's not their time to market. It's Starfield's time to market and then Forza's time to market.
Right.
So we'll see more of like what's going on with Hellblade 2 after we get over this hump. You know, we're climbing up the hill right now. Once we get to the top of the mountain, we look down the other side, we'll see what the rest of the landscape looks like. And that's when we'll start to get a better idea of whether or not this is going to be too high of a hype for them to hit. But they know how to tell a great story. And I think that while it will be niche, Hi-Fi Rush is also niche, but it's also a fantastic game and deserves the praise. Same thing with Forza Motorsport. Niche, but fantastic praise deserved for its genre. I think that Hellblade 2 will probably fall right into that group where Xbox, you know, they're not doing the same game all over again. You know, Phil's come out and said that they don't want to do this. And I think Hellblade 2 is one of the few times where you can actually look at what they've made and look at what they've shown and admit that they are confident with what they're doing. They wouldn't be showing this much if they weren't confident. And I think that it's pretty good that we're actually getting an opportunity to see a little bit behind the scenes before the full marketing push, because it does kind of present well. The story, I think, is just what really has to sell it. And I think we'll get more of that when we actually get when the actual like marketing bump goes for this after Starfield.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Last question comes from Ellery. They say, stumbled around the trailer for Asteroid City and knew within 10 seconds it was a Wes Anderson film. Are there any developers where you can see a trailer or gameplay and know immediately who has made the game?
I mean, if I knew who the developers were for any of the Nintendo games, yeah. But they don't tell you who actually makes those games.
I don't know that I have a good. I feel like I can spot Rocksteady usually.
Yeah.
But that's kind of that's they made mostly Batman games, so that's a little bias in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I have an answer for this, but I'm hard pressed to give one right now. Like I can't think of one. You know,
I can nail a Blizzard game pretty far off.
Yeah.
Based on the style that they do. They do very, very specific stylized looks for a lot of their stuff. That's why I'm interested in their new MMO, because it looks wildly different from the concept art than anything that Blizzard has ever done.
Mm-hmm.
But I can spot a Blizzard title. I know what their orcs look like and stuff. You can see the ripoffs in stuff like Knockout City and whatnot. Like they get parodied a lot. So Blizzard for sure. Other studios that have a style that, you know, I think what's the studio? Is it? I can't think of the studio name that does Ori and the Blind Forest. Snowbright? Can't remember.
Ori and the Blind Forest. I'm blanking right now. I'm just gonna look up.
Isn't that it?
No, it's not it.
I can't think of.
I'm just blanking. I'm looking at the freaking box.
Does it say on like the copyright thing?
That's what I'm looking at. I don't see it.
Oh, really? They have no entity.
That's what I'm embarrassed about. How do I not know? Someone's listening to this and dying inside right now.
Probably.
Because like I usually know this one. Is it Moon?
Moon Studios?
It's Moon.
Probably.
Yeah, it's Moon.
Yeah. So I think Moon Studios has crafted a look that I think a lot of other studios are going with for their 2D platformer. That it has definitely like tripped me up when I've seen like a couple games come through and I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of looks like Ori. I bet that's the new game from Ori, and it's not, it's something else, but they've got a look that a lot of people are hijacking.
Yeah, that's fair. There you go. All right. Well, Logan, I think that's going to do it for us today. I can't say enough how glad I am that we got to have this time again, because I missed you last week.
Yeah.
Had a good time at the beach. Enjoyed listening to you and CJ, but I missed you for sure.
Me too, buddy.
Would you like to let people know where they can find you and what's coming to Keelhauled?
Yeah, so Keelhauled content, I'm going to be talking about the tabletop RPG, the actual RPG of Sea of Thieves this week, as well as some listener questions. It's a pretty light news week as far as Sea of Thieves content goes, and probably will be for a while until we start getting some more tall tales or events going on. But always look out for that. If you're a Sea of Thieves fan, want to know what's going on, I always try to keep up to date with that. You can find me on Twitter at CAPT_LOGUN, over on Threads at CAPT_LOGUN, and in the Discord for the Xbox Expansion Pass for those patrons, where we can sit around, hang out, chat, and share some just goof memes about Luke making wild hot takes during episodes that get turned into awesome meme content.
There you go. I'll take that. Remember, guys, you can support XEP over on Patreon at patreon.com/the Xbox Expansion Pass. It means the world. And I'll say one more time that if you support the Trophy Room and not XEP, that does make you communist. So please, be careful with that one.
Love Joe.
No, he's ugly. No,
he says
Kyle.
I'm the best host.
Hate that. All right. You guys can find me on all your socials at InsipidGhost. Support XCP and join us over on Discord at your leisure. Have a fantastic rest of your week, everyone. Take care.